All right, final in Orlando. South Carolina loses, falls to 9-4 in the Cheez-It Bowl. Upset, dejected, frustrated, all the above. Lockdown Gamecock starts right now.
You are Locked On Gamecocks, your daily podcast on the South Carolina Gamecocks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Guys, welcome into Locked On Gamecocks. I'm your host, Chris Marler. Last one of the year. Anything on a somber note? Shouldn't really. It's a hell of a season, but a lot of frustration, a lot of frustration. That's the only thing I know to say. Probably the best word to describe it right now. First and foremost, I want to say thank you to listening each and every day. Shout out to everydayers for making Locked On Gamecocks your first listen every day. Remember, we're free and available podcasts wherever you get your podcasts, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, as well as on YouTube. Your team every day. Let's get into it. Pepper's also frustrated. You can hear in the background. It sucks. Final 21-17. You lost to Illinois. I guess right off the top, I'll just say I was wrong about a lot of this from Illinois. I don't feel like you lost because you didn't have Rocket Sanders and Kennard. I do think you win that game with him, but that's not really, it's probably not even smart to bring it up off the top because it's not an excuse. It's just a frustrating and a little bit of a befuddling game. If I'm being honest, I think a lot of it, I'm not shocked. I shouldn't say shocked because Illinois is a good team. They went 9-3. It's like you see that team give up 49 to Purdue. You see them every time they get up against a ranked opponent, and they had 16 combined points. And you got there today against one of the best defenses in the country, and you put up 21, which isn't like some groundbreaking number. It wasn't like the offense was electric or fantastic by any means by them, but it was better than I expected. And it was for a number of reasons. And South Carolina did a lot of stuff to lose this game. And if I'm being honest, and I think he's done a tremendous job all year, and it's not something I will judge his year off of in this loss, but I think Beamer kind of fell short today in some areas. Again, just a phenomenal season in general. But today was frustrating. Today was very frustrating. I think that when you talk about the fact that Sellers comes in, and it's his first game under a new offensive coordinator, and there were some struggles. I mean, like you look at the first half, and on paper, you're like, if you watched it clearly, it was like, what is going on? Like, just not a lot of shots taken downfield, not zero explosive plays, not a ton of excitement or anything new. And I said that in the previous show. Might have been the one thing I got right, to be honest, which was, I thought that there would be some growing pains, I guess would be the best way to describe it. Some growing pains from the first play calling start, if you will, of Mike Shula taking over the reins for Dowell. That's expected. Again, you don't have your second best offensive Sanders. That also, you could expect some hiccups there at running back that could there. But in the first half, you look at you watch two eyes or my four, and you're like, that should have been, you just didn't get a lot going. It just felt like there was so much that like when you watch the field versus what the box score, even you look at it like you ran almost 15 or 20 more plays than Illinois did in the first half, and it's still, a close game. I think it's 7-3 at the half with Illinois. I thought that this offensive staff, I thought the defensive staff as well, it just felt like somebody on the staff or the staff as a whole was going to make adjustments. That's what we've seen all year. We've seen them make adjustments all year long. You look what they did against Alabama. You look what they did against A&M, the way they closed that game. And then you look at the way, just like the end of that sentence right there, the way they close games. I mean, like what they did against Mizzou, what they did against Clemson, like it very much felt like if they just have the ball in their hands with on the last possession, they had a shot. And it didn't happen. I mean, you got the ball down inside the 10 and you weren't able to punch it in. LaNorris, let's just call it what it is. He looked a little bit off today. Just it looked like, sometimes when a player is in that kind of mode and in playing that level, especially at that position, the last thing you want is a month off, just flat out. It's not making an excuse for him, but I mean, it's there was like some open guys that were missed today. He also made a lot of other plays, and you have to also give him credit because he's the main reason you were in that game. Where things went wrong, in my opinion, like one, again, you have to tip your cap to Illinois. This is a hell of a job. I hate to say this, especially after what happened on the field, or not during the time of play, but also sometimes. And you got to give Brett Bielema his offense, or his defense and offense, and his entire team and staff credit. Man, they came into that game and they had a better game plan. It felt like they at least had a very good game plan, and it seemed like at times the game plan was, I'm going to be fat Lane Kiffin, and I don't care how that sounds. Like I'm going to get under Beamer's skin. I'm going to do the stuff that is. I'm speculating here, but it seemed like it was. I don't think that we're as good of a football team necessarily to beat them straight up, especially with our best offensive weapon out. But what I know we can do is use some things to our advantage. So like one is the what do you call it, substitution penalty, where if you have players coming off, it's going to take, you're averaging between 12 and 17 seconds of players getting on and off the field. And that's, it was so frustrating, but it also was like a good job from Brett Bielema. And if we're being honest, a pretty bad job from Shane Beamer not to make the adjustment. I mean, he walked over and signaled to you what he was doing. He walked over and showed you, like, he taunted you with it walking across the field. That is like a 6'4", 380-pound man. It wasn't like he was swiftly walking across the field. Like, it took a while to get over there. And he taunted you the whole way. Then he taunted you on the way back. And right after it, I love the emotion from Shane Beamer. Would fight and play for Shane Beamer any day of the week, twice on Sunday. But you also have to make an adjustment. And to see what happened right after that, where you inexplicably have two substitutions go on the field, then you have to take a timeout. It's this team, they were in position to win. They could have won that game. You again tip the cap to Illinois, but it felt like at times, I mean, it just felt like at times the team regressed back into at least some patterns from early on. And again, I'm recording this 12 seconds after the game ended. Like there's guaranteed to be some overreaction. That's why I always call it an instant overreaction. We'll come back and we'll have a longer take and more objective take and from the game and sit down and look at it maybe a little bit more. Maybe, I don't know, maybe we won't. Like maybe we'll just do a review of the season because there's still so many positives to take away. But today was frustrating. Today was really, really frustrating. All right, I'm going to take a deep breath. We're going to finish the show, get into more of it, and the keys to what happened today. It'll be a quick show. Before we do that, do want to give a quick shout out to our friends at Rocket Mortgage. You guys have heard me, or I'm sorry, actually at FanDuel. My bad. The NFL playoffs are almost here, but it's not too late to get in on the regular season action with FanDuel. It's America's #1 sportsbook because right now new customers can finish the season strong with $250 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. FanDuel has so many ways for you to pick up a W. I love betting on which players will score a touchdown first, how many total they'll have in a game, total points scored for each team, or combined. There's so many options, and it's thrilling. Not only can you bet on who will win the game, but FanDuel also has bets for, like I said, over-unders, first points scored, first quarter, first half, all of those things. Tons of money to be made, tons of value. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your chance at $250 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, NFL partner, the official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right, so Locked On Gamecocks will continue next. Stay tuned. All right, let's get into it. Just the takeaways I had as to why this happened, and just, I don't know. whatever the first half struggles, it felt like I said, the you just didn't make an adjustment on the substitutions taking 12 to 17 seconds. I mean, that's an insane amount. And it's annoying. And like, listen, I'm not like going to sit here and pat Brett Bielema on the back completely because he found a loophole. And like I brought the Fat Lane Kiffin thing earlier because it very much felt like his entire MO and his entire game plan sometimes was, you know what we're going to do? We're going to take advantage of a loophole, part of a rule that they haven't figured out how to figure out correctly officiating yet, because they haven't. And then what we're going to do is when they do, especially in the second half, when South Carolina does have any sort of momentum, get a first down, whatever, did you notice that every time that happened in the fourth quarter, somebody went down? It's like Ole Miss all over again. And if that's a blueprint, sure, that's a blueprint. It's the last team that beat South Carolina besides Alabama. That's a blueprint for sure. But it was frustrating to see, after all the steps and improvement this team had made all year, that in this final game, that's what I meant earlier about it felt like there's a little bit of regression to just some old habits where it's like, it is frustrating. I'm mad. You're mad. Shane's mad. Someone's got to be the adult in the room and figure out how to make a change on it. You know what I mean? The other thing was too, and I don't have the numbers on this, so I apologize if it comes off as wrong, but first down success for Illinois. It felt like a lot of times they were in, I'd say like 75% of the game. It felt like they were in 2nd and 5, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 4. Like they were in short yard situations, a lot of 3rd and 2s, short yard situations to convert. And their MO as a team, especially with Brett Bielema as the head coach, was we're going to line up, we're going to try to play bully ball, and we're going to run right at you. And, you know, like this is a really good defense. And you saw they bowed their neck several times and came up with some key plays. They won the turnover battle. It's one of the rare games you don't win when you win the turnover battle under Shane Beamer. But, you know, it just wasn't enough. It's one of the reasons, too, I hesitate, like the fake field or the fake field goal that they turned into a pass attempt for Kai Kroger. You know, first off, Kai's like 8 of 9 in his career. And it's his last game. So I don't really mind that as much. I would have liked some points, but I don't think it really mattered in the end necessarily. Herrera missing the field goal. You can sit here and make a case for kicking. If you hit both those, you're probably up 9 late in the game as opposed to 7. But that also takes away from the fact that you did get a fumble on the 1 yard line, so you're kind of fortunate there as well. By the way, yet another example of Clayton White defenses getting a fumble or an interception or a turnover in general inside of the red zone it's incredible how good they have been at that over the last 2 years, and it continued today. Here's the thing, though. I brought up the turnovers. It did feel like, I'm not pinning this on this kid. I think this kid has a really bright future. And the more I watched him run today, the more I felt like, oh man, no wonder they didn't target a running back in the portal. Jordan Howell's I think that kid has a huge amount of upside and is going to be great for this team down the road. It felt like you had that one touchdown to go up 10-7. You get, I think it was a turnover. You get. It was a turnover because Altmaier just threw it up for grabs. And I believe it was Kilgore finally grabs it, turns around, you start running with it. And it felt like you were starting, like you could hear the crowd and the momentum that it was a palpable amount of momentum that I felt like you had. And, you know, you run a screen pass that just was never set up correctly. He was in front of the lineman when he caught it, and he gets hit from behind, fumbles, and they get the ball right back. And it just felt like that was a massive missed opportunity for momentum. You're going into their side of the field. It's not why they lost, but it's just one of those things where it's like those little things, they all mattered late in the game, big time. So one of the things that just felt a little bit odd too, just a play calling standpoint, they flashed this stat up in the it's like 7 minutes left in the fourth. You had 24 total first down plays. And again, this is Mike Shula's first game as a play caller. 16 pass, 8 rush attempts. I'm not even weighing in on whether that was right, wrong, anything in between. It was just interesting. It was just an interesting way because I don't feel like we had seen that as much. But I also will say, you know, I don't know about it as much this year because I told you the numbers about how many yards per carry they were allowing and all that stuff coming in. I don't know if you should have taken advantage of that more or less or anything like that. It just felt like, especially with LaNorris being just like a tad off, it was odd to have that much disparity. 67% of your first down play calling being a pass. Maybe something they saw on tape. Obviously, Mike Shula knows more about football than I do. And his dad does. Knows more than me and my dad combined. So there's that. It was just, like I said, frustrating day. I'll pull up some of the numbers here real quick. I don't want this to be like some doom and gloom thing, because I still think there's so many positives moving forward. LaNorris, end of the day, 24 of 34. That's really good, guys. That's good. Hold on. Let me not try to attempt math, because I feel like I've done that a couple times on here and it's not gone well for me. 24 divided by 34 is 71% completion percentage there. That's a phenomenal job by him. 11 carries for 19 yards. They did bottle him up a little bit, but he had right around 280 total yards of offense, only 1 touchdown. Attaway was good. 14 carries, 69 yards. Warren Howell, like I said, only 5 carries for 31 yards, which is kind of surprising to me. I will say from a number standpoint, there were still some big positives there. Huge catch by Delavon. I thought he was going to drop it. He was almost too open, which was odd. Not odd. That was just, I was like, please God, don't drop this. And he didn't, which was great. Outside of that, Nick Harbor made a couple big plays. I've enjoyed seeing that. Watching his progress throughout the season has been one of the bright spots in a year of bright spots. But tell what you can take from this year to next, and even from this game into next year, into the offseason. I love that. Illinois, from like an offensive standpoint, did kind of exactly what you thought they would do. It was 357 yards total, 21 points. It's right around their averages all year. It just kind of felt like some missed opportunities. They did some things too. They controlled the clock really well in the second half, it felt like. And they tried to make sure it felt like they were just keeping Carolina's offense off the field for a lot of times. And I tell you what, too, they as annoying and pestering as they were, I think pestering's a word, 2 penalties for 15 yards is wild to me. That's wild to me. That is. And then, they were 67% on third down. They were 8 of 12. Like, come on. South Carolina held to 390 yards of offense, which doesn't sound crazy, but again, we talk about that last 6-game win streak. You were over at least 430 yards in each of your last 5 games. You just didn't have that kind of offensive output today. You just didn't. By all means, Clemson's a much better defense, and you put up 431 against them, same point total, but 431 yards of offense. You just couldn't get consistency out of the offense today. And it like I said, it felt like some of the stuff in like where you regress from habits before. As good as LaNorris was at times, man, Josh Simon, and that fourth down I was shocked. If you lead him a little bit, and they put some pressure on him too, but if you lead him a little bit, maybe he makes that catch. And I honestly too, I think Josh was, I think he was as shocked that he dropped it. Because he's probably been the most reliable person on that out of the passing game all year. So, just a frustrating end, and that happens. There's not really much else you can say, but I think all in all, there's so many positives to take away from this season. Just so many positives to take away from this season. Today sucks. Sun will come up tomorrow, guys, and that's all I'm going to say. We have a lot to look forward to going into next season, not only with football, obviously, basketball, women's basketball, baseball season with Paul Benary coming in. Just a lot of positives for South Carolina athletics going into 2025. I can't wait to be here for it with you guys. I want to give you guys a sentimental message as we go off, because it's New Year's Eve, and I really just want to say how much I guys. I'm a little bit worried that the internet will cut out, because it always does. But for those of you still listening, thank you so much, like so very much. And this season has been a ton to me. It's been so much fun. I just can't say thank you enough for the support, for tuning in every week, every day, whatever. It means so much more than you guys know. And I've had a blast doing it. Like I said, not the way we wanted to end 2024, but so much to be grateful for going into 2025, not only as a Gamecock, but personally as well. And I hope each and every one of you have a great and safe new year. Love you guys. We'll talk to you in 2025. There you go.